Hi guys, a look at paper 2 today. I don't know why I'm moving the camera as I speak. Hi guys, a look at paper 2 today of the mock exam. So question 26, light work. Look, that looks pretty disgusting. So let's ignore the 4 first and try and neaten this bit. So we know when we divide fractions, if I have this, it becomes this. So I'm going to deal with that. So I've got 3x minus 5 over 1 times by 4x minus 1 over 3x squared plus x minus 10. So I need to factorize that. So let's factorize 3x squared plus x minus 10. We can do this one by guessing, essentially. We know 3x and x must be the value. And that can either be 10 and 1 or 2 and 5. Can't be anything else. To get a 1x, I know that I know 10 take away 1, 10 take away 9 will be 1. So if I put a 10 in there, that would be 30. If I put a 1 in there, that would be 3 and 10. So that isn't going to work. So it's got to be 2 and 5. So forget what I said about 10 take away 9. I also know 6 take away 5 is 1. So if I put a 2 in here and a 5 in there, that gives me 6x and a 5x. So 3x times 2 is 6x, minus 5 times x is 1x, and minus 5 times 2 is minus 10. So that will work. So that would be what would go on the bottom now. So I have 3x minus 5, x plus 2. So now I can simplify because that factor and that factor cancel. So I've got 4x minus 1 over x plus 2. So let's rewrite the question. So we have 4 minus this. Well, to get my answer as one fraction, I need to express 4 as an equivalent fraction out of x plus 2. So that means I need to times the top and bottom by x plus 2. So I can now write this as 4x plus 2 minus 4x minus 1 all over x plus 2. So now we have to expand the top. Plus 1 all over x plus 2. 4x minus 4x is 0. 8 plus 1 is 9. So I get 9 over x plus 2. Job done. Bish, bash, bosh. On to the next one. So if you didn't understand that, play the video slower on 0.5 and turn the volume up. That way it's slower and louder. Okay, so let's do this vectors question. And do a lot of writing to give myself a darker bit to write on. Don't need that. Done. So ON and MR. So ON is let me start again, sorry. So let's read the question. OP is 2A, which means the adjacent opposite side is also 2A. And that's going that way. And this is 3B, which means PQ is also 3B. It wants us to find ON, and ON is OR plus RN. Well, OR is 3B. And Rn is RQ, and Rn is 4/5 of that ratio. So this is 4/5 here, and that is 1/5. So we want 4/5 of 2a because the whole length of RQ is 2a. So plus 4/5 of 2a. So that is 8/5 A plus 3b, and that is our ON. So when you're doing vectors, it's very important to just keep the things you've been working with because we might need them later. MR is that length there. And we are told that this is a quarter, PM is a quarter, so that's 3/4. So MR is MQ plus QR. And MQ is 3/4 of 3B plus QR, which is negative 2A because it's going the other way. So MR equals 9/4 B minus 2A. So from this diagram, we can see that we haven't been given any information about this point. Let's see why. So if we look at the next bit, MR and ON intersect at that point. Why? Given that OY equals K times ON, find the value of K. That's what they want us to do, figure out the ratio. So this involves what we've just done. So we want to find where Y is. So let's figure out a couple of vectors in terms of that involve Y. So we've got ON. So let's figure out OY. And OY is OR plus RY. Now OR is 3B, but RY is something times RM. I'm going to call that something mu. And RM is the negative of MR, which we found. So I just got to switch the signs around. So that'll be plus mu of 2A minus 9/4 B. So that's OY. So what we're doing is starting to look complicated. Yeah. So let's figure out OY in terms of something else now. Well, we're told in the question that if you times by K, if you times ON by K, we'll get OY. Yeah, I think that's the way they wanted it. It's not a big deal if it's a different way. No, that's exactly it. So now we've got two unknowns, K and mu. Now, a lot of you always say to me, Sharon, when am I going to need this in life? Now's our chance, simultaneous equations. So we can solve simultaneously to find K and mu. So what we have to do is create two equations. So ON we had, so we've got to times ON by K. So we have 3KB plus 8/5 Ka. Yes, so what I'm going to do, because these two equations are both OY, their A's and B's must be equal to each other. So if we evaluate the A's first, we know that 8/5 K must be equal to this bit here. I'm not using different colours in case they don't show up properly. So there, so we've got +2 mu, which follows that 10 mu equals 8K or 5 mu equals 4K. That's our first relationship. Now let's evaluate the B's. And we have 3K here for B, 3KB. You don't need to write the B's because we're evaluating the B coefficients. And that equals 3 minus 9/4 mu, once we expand that out. So 3 minus 9/4 mu. So can I simplify that? Probably. If I times everything by 4, I don't need a lower script on the K either. So 12K equals 12 minus 9 mu. Divide by 3 gives me 4K equals 4 minus 3 mu. Call that equation 2. Well, I can sub equation 1 into equation 2. That gives me 5 mu equals 4 minus 3 mu. So 8 mu equals 4. Mu equals 4/8, which is a half. So y is the exact midpoint, but you could not assume that. If you'd assumed that, you'd have got 0 marks in this question. Yeah, you have to show it. It just happened to drop out at a half. And now we just sub mu is a half back into here. Yeah, so if 5 mu equals 4K, K must be equal to 5 mu divided by 4. So K equals 5 times a half divided by 4, which is the same as times in 1/4. So K equals 5/8. Job done. If we go to formula sheet, let's write them down. So volume of the cone is a third pi r squared h. And the volume of the hemisphere is going to be half of a sphere. So half of 4/3 is 2/3. So 2/3 pi r cubed. So those are what we need for this question. So we can see the center of the solid, the center of the circular face of the cone coincides with the center of the flat surface of the hemisphere. So we got half a sphere. The radius of the circular face of the cone is equal to the radius of the hemisphere. So the radiuses are the same. So we can say R1 equals R2. Let's call that X. The radius of the circular face of the cone is X is equal to the radius of the hemisphere. The total height of S, this is S. Total height of that is 4 times the radius of the hemisphere. So in other words, the total height is 4 radiuses. So bearing in mind that's a radius, this must be 3 radii. Yeah? And a separate sphere has radius kx, the volume of the sphere, with 12 times the volume of S. Find the value k. So we need to find the volume of S first. So the volume of S, let's make my thing a bit thicker, must be the hemisphere plus the cone. So we've got a third pi r squared h for the cone, but we're calling Rx. So pi x squared times by 3r, which is 3x. Simplifies to a third times 3 is 1. So that's the cone, which is pi x cubed. And then the volume of the hemisphere is 2/3 pi x cubed. So the volume of S is 2/3 pi x cubed plus 1 pi x cubed, which is going to be 1 plus 2/3 is 5/3 pi x cubed. So that's the volume of S. First bit. So we are told that the volume of this new sphere is 12 times that. So volume of a sphere was double this, so 4/3 pi r cubed. So that means we know that 4/3 pi times r cubed, so kx cubed, equals 12.5 times this. 12.5 is 25/2 times 5/3 x cubed. So that's what we're simplifying. So I can multiply by that 3, and that will disappear. So what we have is 4 pi k cubed x cubed equals 25 times 5/2 x cubed. So the x cubes cancel. Also had a pi in there somewhere that I've disappeared. Pi. Those pi's cancel. So I now have 4 k cubed equals 125/2. So k cubed is 125/8. And the cube root of that is 5/2. So k is 2.5. Job done. Next bit, for 1 mark, a similar solid has a volume of 512 times that. So if k cubed is for volume, and if we cube root that, we'll get k. Cube root of 512 is 8. And then, so it wants the surface area. So in other words, what's the scale factor? Will it be 8 squared? So D will be 64, and that's why it's only 1 mark for that one. Okay, question 21. This is pretty straightforward. We have 2 points. We're told ABCD is a square, so let's go A, B, C, D. Yeah, it's always going to be in order, but it doesn't actually have to be looking like a square. So that can cause a confusion, as in it could be twisted a little bit. Yes, if we imagine it just floating around, we know that this is -5/2 and this is 3/5. So we can immediately figure out the gradient of the line AB. So we've got delta y over delta x, which will be 5 minus 2 and 3 minus 5. So we get 3/8. So the gradient of AB is 3/8, and the line perpendicular BC is what we want to find. So if M1 equals 3/8, then we know M2 equals -8/3. Well, that must be the gradient of BC. So therefore, the gradient of BC is -8/3. So now we do y equals mx plus c. Y equals -8/3x plus c. And we're going to substitute in the coordinate of b, because b is on the line. So when x is 3, y is 5. So that gives us 5 equals -8 plus c. So c equals 13. Therefore, y equals -8/3x plus 13. It wants it in this form. So we times everything by 3. 3y equals -8x plus 39. And then we just want to put everything equal to 0. So 8x plus 3y minus 39 equals 0. Job done. Next one. Okay, so we need to figure out y squared. So that's 3x minus 1 times 3x minus 1. So we're going to get 9x squared minus 3x minus 3x plus 1. I'm going to substitute that into the original. So we have x squared plus 9x squared minus 6x plus 1 equals y plus 11. But y is this. So we have 10x squared minus 6x plus 1 equals 3x plus 10. So 10x squared minus 9x minus 9 equals 0. So we need to solve this quadratic, don't we? So x equals minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times 10. So 9 plus or minus the square root of 360 plus 81 is 441 all over 20. Square root of 441 is 21. So x equals 9 plus 21 over 20, or x equals 9 minus 21 over 20. So x equals 1.5, or x equals minus 0.6. And then we sub into the original to get y. So 3 times 1.5 is 4.5, take away 1 is 3.5. and 3 times 0.6 is minus 1.8, so minus 2.8. And that's that. Yeah, done. That's it. So our coordinates are 1.5, 3.5, and minus 0.6, minus 2.8. Job done. Next one. Okay, so this means the graph is moved 10 up. So if we move this up 10, it'll be 6, 7. This means the graph is compressed by a factor of 3. So that's the x direction. A third of 6 is 2. And that'll be it. Job done.